October 1, 2025 meeting of the TPO Citizens Advisory Committee. My name is Rick Fernandez, Chair of the committee. Hello to everyone. I see we have a quorum in the room, which we'll validate during the roll in a moment, but thanks everybody for making the effort. First order of business.
We gotta go.
Hi, if anybody gets rowdy, there you go, I got it now.
Yes.
There it is. Our usual practice is to go around the room and have everyone identify themselves and their appointing authority. So we'll go ahead and do that now. And I know we have some new people here, so some of this is going to be a matter of first impression. You might even offer a little bit more information than just who you are, if you don't mind. Tell us a little more about yourselves. So again, I'm Rick Fernandez. Hispanic at large is my appointing authority. I don't have a commissioner or a city councilor or a port authority appointment, anything of that sort. At large, Hispanic. Dana?
Dana Lazarus, appointed by Tampa City Councilman Leonard Hurtak.
Good evening, Joseph Citro. I was appointed by County Commissioner Harry Cohen.
Hayes Marquetti, appointed by Port Tampa Bay.
Matt Sink, appointed by Councilman Alan Clendenin.
Stephen Jones, at large.
Carlton Bush, at large.
Brandon Wing, on behalf of Commissioner Bowles.
Susie Blunt, I guess I'm on probation. New, from Commissioner Miller. I am a Bloomingdale resident, been there 11 years, first and only house. Plan to leave it feet first. And then I'm busy with Bloomingdale Neighborhood Association. I've been with them for 11 years. I'm a retired nurse. My last job was in hospice.
Welcome.
I'm Aya Yassin. I am the appointed by the city of Temple Terrace. I've lived in the city of Temple Terrace for over 20 years. And my experience is very transportation heavy. I worked for the city of Tampa, before that Hillsborough County, before that FDOT District 6, so South Florida. But right now, currently, I am a consultant. I work for an engineering firm that does transportation.
Ed Majewski, appointed by the Tampa Hillsborough Expressway Authority.
Dustin Johnson, member at large.
And online? Avia, you want to say hey?
Hey, this is Jamie Jones chiming in. I have recently got connected with the Community Advisory Committee. Land development is my background, but very interested in transportation and trying to improve our transportation network within Hillsborough County.
Jamie will be on the consent agenda for the TPO board next week, along with Susie and Christina Costa. And Ivia looks like she got her right to work idea.
Okay, this is Ivia Adams at large.
Anybody else?
I don't see any other members online. We do have some members of the public and some committee members who are here in the room that are also online.
Okay, very good. Will we have a roll call or what? How do you want to do this?
Took roll of people were saying it, and I'm going to officially declare that we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. For those of you who are new, that means we have at least 7 people in the room, so we are able to take action on, in this case, this agenda, the one action item that we have. But we do need at least 7 in the room. So again, thank you for those of you that made the effort. Anybody online is certainly enabled to offer commentary on any matter that we take up during the meeting, but they are not permitted to vote absent exceptional circumstance, which I won't get into. So basically, we do business with who's in the room. Okay. I guess that takes us to public comment. Anybody in the room, in the gallery for public comment today? Anyone online? Nope.
Do not see anyone in the room or online.
Okay.
Now, is that from the public or even from members?
No public comment. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, chair's report. Very quickly. We had, 3 action items that we worked on, last meeting. All 3 of our recommendations were, well, I guess it's a bit much to say they were followed. Let's just say that the TPO board did the same thing we recommended that they do. And those items were, the roll forward amendments to the FY 25-26 tip. We recommended approval. The TPO board approved. The CAC approved, recommending the TPO board approve the public participation plan update. They did so. And if you'll recall, we also had rather spirited discussion about the Plant City trails. Our recommendation, I believe, was followed chapter and verse. Maybe there was a slight variation.
They approved it kind of as is, which I think is what we ultimately.
Well, we did
Yeah.
eventually, yeah, although we had a lot of conversation. And I will say, Dustin, for your benefit, there was a good bit of conversation around the merging of more than one of these trails. And favorable comment, but I think the ultimate decision was simply to go with the study as was, which included all of those. So there's still the possibility that that merger of trails could occur. But they didn't take it as far as you hoped to do in your motion, but they did discuss it and favorably. So I just want you to know that it's not a dead issue at all.
Well, from what I read, it sounds like they plan to try and enact. I mean, I guess they're gonna study the study that was put out there, but they're gonna try and achieve all variants of it. So that would be nice. So, appreciate that.
Okay, sure, absolutely. All right, and the only other thing I wanted to say by way of the chair's report, and I'm mentioning this only because I put this out on a Facebook post just individually, and a couple of folks on the committee made comment about it. There was an article that appeared in Bloomberg, let's see, September 23rd, so just last week. The headline being, Trump pulls street safety, bike lanes, grants, deemed hostile to cars. That headline kind of got my attention, and just reading briefly from the first paragraph, cities from San Diego to Boston received multiple rationale from the Trump administration earlier this month when it rescinded federal grants for street safety measures, pedestrian trails, and bike lanes. That justification being, quote, the projects aren't designed for cars, close quote. Let's see, in notices to local officials, the U.S. Department of Transportation deemed the projects, quote, hostile, close quote, to automobiles and, quote, counter, close quote, to the agency's priority of increasing roadway capacity for motor vehicles. Again, the headline and that particular section of this article, which went on beyond what I read, caught my attention. I asked the TPO staff to advise as to whether or not this action is going to have any effect on us locally. Sarah did some preliminary look-see. Do you have something to report?
Yes, so I can say that right now, the TPO has not been informed that any of our grants are impacted by this. We do, the situation may change in the future, but as of right now, we do not have any grants right now that we've been notified have been in jeopardy or.
Out of curiosity, would the trails that we were talking about in Plant City, did that have federal money associated with it?
That study was envisioned with Sun Trail money in mind, and Sun Trail is a state funding source.
Dana?
The Reconnecting Communities grant program was affected, but then I haven't seen that many, like some projects are moving forward. The Ashley Street to, conversion to affordable housing, all that hasn't been affected, right?
I am not aware of any of the details of that one, so I cannot say one way or the other on that.
That had federal money.
Yeah, the Reconnecting
Yeah,
Communities.
Castor brought some money home for that.
FGOT has an update on that if you want
Yeah.
to hear.
Oh, hey, how are you?
Good.
Identify yourself for the record.
I'm Suzanne Ziegler, Government Liaison for District 7. I saw that article too, as well, and it kind of gave me a little palpitation because I, as a state worker, haven't heard anything or been notified in regards to that article, nor have I heard from our federal partners, but that could change later. However, the reconnecting grant, for Ashley Street, that is moving forward. We had a call with Brandon Campbell and his team, and so they're actively working on that project and coordinating with us. And so that one has already been executed, so maybe that's why it's still on the table. I'm not sure. But doesn't seem like anything else has been affected yet. But as that comes available and we know things, we can let you guys know too.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's Brandon Campbell. Is that federal?
The city of Tampa.
City of Tampa, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so anyway. Note to the wise, just keep your eye on that going forward. First action item is the minutes. The minutes for September 3rd, 2025 was circulated along with your agenda package. Hopefully you had an opportunity to review. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion. Approve.
Ms. Yassin moves to approve. Is there a second?
I second.
Mr. Johnson offers the second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? I see none in the room. Is there any discussion online?
Anyone online? Nope.
All right, by acclamation then, all in favor of approval of the minutes signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Nay. All right, please know that that's unanimous for the record. Thank you. That takes us to item 7 on the agenda, our one action item, tip amendments, Art Section 3507 and fixed guideway, bunch of numbers. Elizabeth Watkins, EPO staff. Hey, how are you?
Well,
Good to see you again.
good to see you. Good evening, CAC. So I have 2 tip amendments for your consideration today. Both are formula funds that go to HART from the Federal Transit Administration. And when I say formula funds, I mean those are based on a formula, based on population, lane miles of transit service, a variety of different factors that are used to determine how much the area and HART specifically will receive annually. So they are not funds that are applied for. So the first amendment is the project in which delivers the Section 5307 funds to HART. Again, these are formula funds and are used for various capital expenditures. HART intends to use this roughly $25 million to upgrade some of their HVAC units at their 21st Avenue facility, which houses some of their administrative staff as well as their heavy maintenance facility. And their streetcar facilities are also in need of an HVAC unit replacement. These capital funds will also be used to purchase buses, upgrade bus shelters and other bus stop amenities, and also purchase some IT equipment that's essential for HART and sharing data, tracking vehicles, that infrastructure that helps them deliver the service that is so important to our community. So these are just a few images to give you an idea of what kind of shelters HART is putting out today. There's nearly 3,000 bus stops in our HART service area, and they continue to work to keep these in a state of good repair and have shelters where it's possible to protect riders from the elements. So this is a summary table of what's actually changing in the Transportation Improvement Program. So one thing I did want to call out, while HART expects $25 million a year through this program, you'll see in 2026, it was estimated $132 million. That was due to an older programming strategy. And I'm really pleased to report that what will actually be going before the TPO board next week will be that more accurate number of $25 million per year. So many thanks to HART and FDOT for working together to have a really clear number out there to the public to understand how much is available to them through this program. The second project within the TIP is Hearts Fixed Skyway, Section 5309 program. And that program is specifically designed for fixed guideway, meaning anything that is on a path that cannot be moved. So Hart receives this 5309 because they operate the streetcar system. That is an example of fixed guideway. If there were ever a BRT or bus rapid transit line, that formula would include that mean mileage and this amount would go up. So this whole funding program is really dedicated to those fixed guideway service miles and passengers. So because that's the intent of the program, all of these funds will be going to capital needs of the streetcar station. So in particular, they will be used to replace some of the roofs that are on the streetcar shelters within historic Ybor. They are wood construction. They're in this historic district. So that material was chosen for the historic nature, but they are old. They're over 20 years old. The shingles need replacing. You'll see in these images, there's also a little bit of rotting going on. So Hart will use this money to replace these roofs so that they are not only just in the state of good repair, but will be able to withstand any sort of severe weather that may come through the area. So what's changing in the TIP? The funding is just being updated to match what FTA has apportioned. So that's about $1.3 million that a Hart expects to receive through this program. So the recommended action before you is to consider recommending that the TPO board approve these amendments to the Transportation Improvement Program. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there questions in the room? Dana?
It's not the HVAC units really need to be replaced if you ever go into any of the Hart like office buildings. So I'm glad that that's happening.
Matt?
I got a quick question about the budget numbers changing. So how do they untether it? Like what, can you walk us through what it was and why and how with the strategy?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this 132 million that was shown in fiscal year 2026 was really a roll up. So it was about 6 years worth of funding that Hart expected to receive. And I think the intention behind doing that previously was just to make sure that Hart could definitely access these funds and there wouldn't be any issues if they needed to do multiple years or not. I'm very happy to share Hart has an amazing federal grants program. And as soon as these funds are available, they are used and executed. So really the change that's happening is just to be clear with the public and the community that no, Hart's not going to receive 132 million. It's just $25 million per year. So it's transparent. And again, Hart's done a great job of encumbering those funds. So really the whole action is just to make it clearer and more transparent.
So is the roll up for multiple years and I don't even understand that.
I don't totally either. I just know the intention of it was to ensure that Hart would be able to access those funds. So the way the FTA releases funds, it's near the end of the fiscal year. So probably one of the reasons to do this is to have multiple years. So say Hart missed it in September, but on October 15th, they were ready and they needed to draw down 2024 funds and 2025, they would be able to do that and wouldn't have to go through this separate process. So it was really just, I think the intention was good, but I'm glad that we could all work together to have a more accurate number shown when it goes to the.
Got it. Okay, thank you.
Stephen?
I didn't hear anything about routine maintenance and upkeep funding. Is that included in these numbers?
That's a great question. So that is a really important part of Hart's overall budget. These two projects are just their federal funds where they are mostly using it for capital projects. So a big part of Hart's maintenance budget is mostly funded probably through like property taxes and other sources. It wouldn't be covered in this presentation.
Mr. Citro?
Thank you very much. I know we're talking money, but do you know what type of buses they are going to be purchasing, whether they're full-size buses, fossil fuel buses, electrical buses, short buses? Excuse me, shorter buses.
I'll let you choose from Hart answer that. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Press, overseer Hart staff.
I would be 42 CNG buses. We're in the process of fully transitioning to CNG. We still have like 25% diesel. So we're.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure. Before you step away from the podium, could you identify yourself again, please? A little more slowly.
Yeah, Jesus Barraza Garcia, hard staff.
Okay, thank you. All right, have I exhausted the left side of the room? Okay, right side of the room. Any hands up? Dustin?
So I got a question, a couple of questions, I guess, in essence is, so does Hart have a plan on how they want to use this money, or are they just trying to reach out to get it? Like, you know, I know Mr. Citro asked what type of buses, but is there a number of buses they plan to buy? Is there a number of shelters they plan to replace or buy? You know, what sort of IT equipment are they purchasing there? It'd be nice to see what the plan is out there.
Yes, certainly. Hart actually just finished updating their entire budget. These amendments are just for those two federal programs. That's why they're before you today. Maybe Sarah, we could share the Hart's 2026 capital budget and operations budget if the group is interested in that. But there is definitely a plan for not only these funds, but the local, state, and other federal sources that are received.
Yes, sir. Would you identify yourself, please, on the record?
Yeah, I'm Brendan Wynn. So apologies if I'm behind the ball. I just want to clarify what we are voting on as amendments. So we are voting the amendment to the tip that 5307 and 5309 are amended in terms of, so this is federally allocated money to improve exclusively the bus stops for the fixed guideway and Hart bus stop stations, correct? Like this is the only thing that is impacted by this recommendation?
Yes, just those two funding programs, and those are the expenditures that Hart intends to make with those funds.
So I was curious around the 5307, particularly with I have seen popping up around town some of the Hart improvements that they've been putting at bus stations. However, I would argue personally that like some of the identification for bus stations are like very poor right now. Is there any, like, I guess, reduced cost version of the full built out bus station that some of the pictures were showing there? Are there any versions that are just identifying bus stops more clearly so that people are able to find them easier? Is that something that is being worked on?
Hi, Supervisor Garcia, hard staff again. Yeah, there are different tiers. Typically, we go for this one because it's a lot of effort and a lot of steps and a lot of permitting. And it's very expensive to break ground on anything. So at that point, might as well go the full way. There are, however, different tiers we could do. We could do just the landing pad, which is just concrete and a pole. Like there are different ways we can improve stuff. It's also an ADA issue, like breaking ground to make it ADA accessible. It's very expensive as it is, so might as well just make the whole thing ADA.
Is there any way we can access what stops are planned for improvement and what tier level of improvement they are scheduled to be made to?
I can ask, certainly. There is a list that was identified. I think it's like 600 stops that are out of compliance. And they're prioritized based on different things, funding source, constructability is a big thing. Not all the stops are easily built. Some are in ditches on state highways, so that's more expensive and things like that.
Thanks.
Is it Susie?
Would you prioritize based on usage also, I would think?
Yeah, ridership is a big factor for bus stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anybody else on the right side of the room? Any questions from online?
Anyone online?
Hey, yeah. So for,
Who is that,
For the-
please? Identify
Sorry.
yourself.
sorry, this is Jamie Jones. The recommended improvements, is that going to take up the entire 25 million? Or what's the split on, how much money is going to which improvement? Do we have any sort of breakdown, or is it more just we're recommending the broad categories of this is what you can use it for?
For that, I would go back to what Elizabeth said about the budget, 2026 budget. There is a breakdown by project in there, so that could be a good reference for that.
And I can follow up after the meeting with those budget documents if they're on Hart's website, or can get with Jesus to get them.
Okay, any other questions online? Okay, you have the recommended action slide up. Is there an enabling motion?
So moved.
Okay, there seems to be a race to judgment here. Dana offers the motion. Is there a second?
A second.
And Majerski offers the second. Is there any further discussion? Okay, just to be clear, the recommended action is recommend that the TPO board approve the amendments to the, my glasses,
Fiscal year.
to the fiscal year 26 through 30 transportation improvement program. Do we need roll call vote for this?
Only if you would like. Do not need one.
All right, by acclamation then, and remember, only people that are actually already certified members of the committee get to vote, right? Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, I hear no opposition, so please note that as unanimous. Okay, that's our last action item, our only action item. Is there something else, Elizabeth? Or are you good?
All good, just trying to get the next presenter queued up.
Okay, we are at item 8 on our agenda, status reports. Assuming we're on track, it's Heart Comprehensive Operations Analysis Update.
Yes, that's me.
Could you move the microphone up higher on the desk there? I mean, move the whole platform up, because otherwise it's hard to hear.
That's okay.
So just project loudly. The microphone is for people online.
I'll jail. It's okay. Okay, me again. Good evening, CAC. This is Professor Garcia, Heart staff. Today, I will explain why we're currently proposing some service changes to the system. I'll also walk through each proposed change route by route, and then I'll show you how we are collecting feedback from the public, which is the main thing I'm here for, to ask you to help us spread the word. So Heart's currently reviewing our bus network, and we're considering route changes for the summer of 2026. This proposed adjustments are designed as a trade-off, so we are hoping to reallocate our limited resources and put them in the best place to succeed, which will make Heart more efficient and productive. We're also currently accepting feedback for these changes. So since July of last year, we have been conducting a comprehensive operational analysis, or COA, which is a full review of the entire system to identify strengths and weaknesses. And it results in short-term improvements, things such as route realignment, frequency changes, service hours changes. And the intent is to impact quality of service for riders and quality of life for operators. These improvements are cost neutral, meaning they do not cost additional money, but they also do not save money. No new funding is assumed. It is best practice to conduct a COA every 5 to 7 years. This one in particular is very important because it's the first one since COVID. So we want to ensure that the systems are serving the community in the best way. While the COA is only a short-term plan, we also have something called the Transit Development Plan, or TDP, that lays out our 10-year vision for how we would like to expand with future growth. The TDP includes a list of unfunded needs that helps us prioritize service improvements when and if new funding becomes available. We will be doing a major update of the TDP next year. And for that, we'll be going back out to the community to get feedback and talk about the future vision. The COA will be the foundation of the TDP, and the TDP is the first 10 years of the LRTP transit component. So all these things, even though they're not the same, they're all related. The routes with proposed changes include routes, improvement to 2 routes, Route 9 on 15th Street and 30th Street, Route 34 on Hillsborough Avenue, adjustment to Route 7 in West Tampa, Route 46 on Brandon Boulevard, and Route 37 in Brandon Net Park, and the removal of Route 24 LX from Fishhawk to South Tampa, Route 25 LX from Bloomingdale to South Tampa, and the Heartflex South County.
So there are some proposed reductions, and we do not take this decision lightly, but we hope to reallocate those buses and hours to where we have the most demand, which will make the biggest difference to riders. Please note that the changes on the slide are just a proposal. They can be adjusted based on public input. I will now talk through each route one by one to explain what the proposed change is. So first, we have two improvements. Route 9 would increase frequency from every 60 minutes to every 30 minutes on weekdays. This will provide a better service for the nearly 700 trips that happen on Route 9 daily. One of our goals with this plan was to improve our hourly routes because it reduces total trip time when waiting for the next bus. We also project that this improvement will add about 200 trips per day. The other improvement is that Route 34 had greater reliability by adjusting the schedule to arrive on time more often. Currently, Route 34 comes every 20 minutes, but it is often late due to traffic. In order to keep the route at every 20 minutes, we need another vehicle to combat traffic so that the bus arrives when it's supposed to. This route is one of the top 4 most used routes in the system, carrying 2,700 trips per weekday. Now we have a route adjustment. Route 37 has the loop into HCC Brandon campus would be removed, and the route would stay on Falkenberg Road. This change would make the trip quicker for the 10 people on board on average who are not going to HCC. The alternative for those who need to get to HCC, which is about 1 person per trip, is a half-mile walk from Falkenberg Road. We're proposing to reduce the span of service on 2 routes. The last eastbound trip on Route 7, departing at 11:25 p.m. towards Marion Transit Center, would be removed 7 days a week. The reason for this change is that this trip at 11:25 at night, sometimes there's 1 person on board, sometimes there's nobody, the bus is completely empty. That's the reason behind this. Similarly, Route 46, the last westbound trip, departing at 10:45 p.m. towards Brandon Mall, it will be removed 7 days a week. Again, lowest ridership by trip in the system. 2 of the limited express routes from the Brandon area to South Tampa would no longer be in service. Those are routes 24LX and 25LX. These 2 routes are some of the least productive routes in the system. For these riders, they can use Route 360LX as an alternative from JC Hanley parking ride to take them to downtown Tampa or McGill Air Force Base. Lastly, Hearts Place South County would no longer be in service. This route has the lowest ridership and is the least productive route in the entire system. There are only about 2 people who drive this route per hour. For those who qualify, Sunshine Line could be an alternative for transportation in the Sun City Center and Waimea areas. The public feedback is important and will help us determine how to best meet the community's needs. So please help us spread the word. There are many ways to submit feedback. The main one is through our webpage, heartserviceinput.com. It's a webpage made specifically for this campaign. All of our information is on there, including a form to submit your comments directly, all the maps and flyers about the proposed changes, the schedule of all the public meetings. It's a one-stop shop, and the website is available on English and Spanish. Those flyers featured on this slide, you have them in front of you as well. Physically, if you want to reference them as well. Aside from the webpage, people can also call HART customer service. They can email us at feedback@gohart.org. They can send us mail, physical mail, for people who still do that. Or you can attend one of the public meetings as listed on this slide. As you can see, we had a round of open houses and virtual town halls last week. We have another round next week. Additionally, HART and consulting staff will be at parking rides and writing the routes affected to hand out flyers and receive comments. All comments will be considered equally, regardless of how we get them. Whether you call, you email, you come to the public hearing, it's all the same. Comments will be accepted until October 15th at 7 p.m., which is when the public hearing ends at the HART Administrative Office. And I also want to take this time to thank the TPO for providing consultant support to conduct this big outreach effort. That working with the consulting team has been great. For next steps, as I said, we're currently accepting feedback until 2 weeks from today, October 15th. After the public input period closes, hard step will review public comments and make adjustments to the plan as needed. Then the hard board of directors would approve the service changes in February of 2026, and if approved, those service changes will be implemented in June of next year. We will be coming back to the TPO in February to present the outcome of the outreach efforts. And again, in May to promote the service changes that will go live in June. And with that, thank you for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions.
This is not an action item, but we can ask questions. So left side. Dana.
You're not required to report to the TPO. You're just good partners, it seems. Or are
I would
you?
say it's a 50-50.
Yeah.
We like to be, yes, we're good partners, but also so I was talking about the TDP, and one of the rules that was issued earlier this year, is increased coordination with the local NPO. So it's happened now.
Okay. The open houses and stuff last week, were they well attended? I feel like, just an addendum, that like getting folks to ride these routes that there's proposed changes, especially the ones to be removed, would be priority to try to talk to as many people as possible who like rely on those routes.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering how well attended those open houses are and how much effort is being put into that on board.
It's been a very aggressive campaign in both fronts. For the open houses, I can only speak to the ones I attended. There's been plenty of events, generally speaking, not just open houses. The ones I attended, it was one or two people, but it was quality feedback, like they had a lot to say. And they stayed for a long time talking to us, so. Thank you.
Mr. Citro.
Yes, thank you very much for this. I'm understanding Route 9 and Route 34, which is going to improve efficiency for people that ride. But the ones that are being changed and or eliminated, what type of connecting bus routes is it going to affect? Are there other people that use these routes that are going to be changed that can connect through other routes?
Great question.
It's tough to get from here to there on Hart. Usually you have to get from here, midpoint to there. You have to connect. Is all these closing or changes going to affect other bus routes?
Yeah, great question. For the 746, the late night service, we don't expect it to affect anything. Those trips are the low demand trips. Like people are not going into town at that time, they're going back home. For the route eliminations, the 24, 25 are very niche routes. They serve a very specific population. And it's usually working people 9 to 5 type of job. So they take the route from the park and ride all the way to their job and back. So we don't see a lot of connection in those. The Hartsflex South County, similarly, is very focused on that area. It's to take people, if they're connected to anything, it will be Route 31. And so it's not, I think it will be more complicated if it was like a mid-city route that connects to like 10 other routes. The South County Flex is like outlying, so it only has the one connection.
So what you're saying is going to be minimal effect on connecting routes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Mr. Green.
Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. I've got a question. You said, you hinted to it, that 24 and 25 are kind of niche routes for workers, which gives me a lot of heartburn. I don't live out in the suburbs, so I'm not really familiar with it, but how far away is the closest stop? Like if you do not have a vehicle, a park and ride might not work for you. So what would be the closest stop to these park and rides? Like, are we gonna disenfranchise people who like that's their only mode of transportation?
I'm not gonna sugarcoat that answer. Yeah, there is, I mean, there are options like Sunshine Line, for example. If you truly don't have a choice, Sunshine Line is there. And Sunshine Line currently operates in our area where we have park and rides because that's not part of our Hart Bus service area. And when the service goes away, they would still have Sunshine Line. So it's not all lost.
Can you expand on what Sunshine Line is? I'm not familiar.
Yeah, Sunshine Line it's a transportation advantage service. It's for people that qualify either income, age, or disability. And has no other choice. So people that are outside of hard service area like Plant City or Lutz or Balm, they're only, and they do not have any other choice, like no cars in their house, they're not close to a bus stop or anything. They qualify for Sunshine Line. And it's like a service like Park Plus Paratransit, they take you door to door. But you have to meet those eligibility requirements.
Thank you for that. But I guess where I'm going with this is like the people who rely on this, they could be the working poor, where they don't qualify for that, but this is the only thing they really can do that makes it work. Do you know how many people between these two lines that this is impacting total?
In terms of riders?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about, the two lines is about 150 riders per weekday total. So you have like out of 33,000. And we call them riders or it's trips. That's probably half as many people because, every person makes a run trip.
Right.
It's 1, 2.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
I
it.
hope that answered your questions.
Doesn't make me feel any better, but it answered my question. Thank you.
Other questions or comments from the left here? No, right side.
I have a question. The bus stops that are
Andrew.
sorry, Andrew Marchetti. The bus stops along these routes, whether they're going to be improved or potentially modified in some way, are those off the bus stop improvement plans, waiting for further feedback as to what ends up happening here?
We've coordinated with our PMO, the Project Management Office. They're in charge of the bus stop and they're aware of this. So any changes or improvements they had planned for this area, they're involved, waiting this decision.
That it? You good? Andrew?
Yes, thank you.
Anyone else here on the left side? Right side, Dustin?
Dustin Johnson, I got a couple questions here. So number one is, how did you guys advertise these sessions? Because I know the specific routes are 24LX and 25LX. I know how niche they are. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because it's primarily for people who work down at MacDill Air Force Base. I have never seen any advertisement saying, hey, these routes are gonna be canceled. Please provide your input, whether it's being from working at the base, whether it's being living in that area. So I'm trying to figure out, when you said that, yeah, we had these things and, maybe 1 or 2 people showed up, how did you advertise it? Because to me, it sounds like you guys didn't advertise anything.
Yeah, we have several outlets. I saved that slide for Q&A. We have the Transit app, the hard website. We posted flyers before all the buses. Blast, newspaper ads, social media, and things like that.
If these routes are for a niche community, I would figure you guys have reached out to the base, and especially the 2 major commands that are out there. Okay, because the next thing I have is, you did the study now. Did you compare the ridership before COVID to what you have now, which is after COVID, which I don't think COVID has completely, the effects of COVID has completely come into play? Because I know, number one, the amount of personnel out at the base working there now has been reduced. Okay, number two, I'm sure there's some other factors why your ridership has gone down. And there's things to look at. Like I looked at even trying to ride this route, but number one, it was like, geez, I have to leave 2 hours before I'm supposed to report in for work. Whereas it's only gonna take me an hour driving my car. The other thing is, where I work at, I can't bring in my electronic devices. So what am I gonna do on a bus? Or probably gonna take me an hour ride on the bus anyways to get there with traffic and everything. No electronic devices that were connected today and age. So it's just like, well, there are certain things you could have looked at to bring up ridership here. And so my question then is, did you guys really look at the difference between the ridership before COVID, after COVID, and try to figure out why did it drop so much? Because I definitely know one thing is, the people that use this routes, there is some federal funding for them. And did all of a sudden that federal funding get nixed? Or is it just because COVID happened and people got used to driving their cars again? There wasn't any campaign that, hey, you can ride this bus. Because I guarantee you, once gasoline prices skyrocket, you're gonna see a big demand of people saying, hey, what's our alternative besides driving our vehicles?
Yeah. Well, pre-COVID, some of these routes were a little busier for sure. Since COVID, they dropped significantly and they haven't come back in 5 years. As for outreach, I know there was like a stakeholder outreach effort. I'm not sure if the base, I know they tried to reach the base. I'm not sure if they succeeded. I can check on that.
I mean, because there's some things that are happening that I'm seeing from what is trying to be done transportation wise that pertains to the base itself. That to me just doesn't make any sense. Like they want to widen Del Mabry Boulevard from Gandy all the way down to the entrance of the base, which to me doesn't make any sense because you're going to keep dwindling people working at the base to begin with. That's just the way the government's trying to go. Okay. And even with the contract personnel they have, their contractor is going to reduce manning anyways. All right. So as time goes on, what's the purpose of widening that? And I still haven't gotten a true answer. But I hope it's not because they want to shut down Bayshore Boulevard because people who have power or wealth are complaining about us driving into the base that route. Because we've seen changes over time since basically since after COVID that happened. But I mean, then we're going to be relegated to what avenues do we have to get to and from work? You have a high populace of people live in South Hillsborough County. And I'm seeing that these cuts are all affecting South Hillsborough County. Now, whether it's not our commissioners who don't care about us down there, and they'll probably soon find out when it comes to election time, what we really want. But you also have issues now that communities are dealing with gentrification in this area. And so you have people who are going to rely on some sort of transportation to get to and from. Because it baffles me how we have gentrification going on, how people are affording to live in certain communities down there. How do they work? How do they get to and from? So to me, it just seems like hard is telling South Hillsborough County to go pound sand. And I don't think that's right.
Well, it's an exercise in efficiency. That's what the whole study's about, looking at underutilized, overutilized, moving things around accordingly. There is a political consideration for sure, and we've kept that in mind throughout this process.
Why isn't there a bus route going all the way up to 301 from Brandon all the way down to basically Waimama on 301? I mean, because now that's become a huge corridor of not just traffic, but retail, industries. Yes.
That's part of the trust development plan process I was mentioning before. I'm pretty sure it's already in the PDP, and if it's not, it's gonna be part of the next update next year. The problem with areas like that is that they grow around the car. So, like all those subdivisions in Waimama, or not Waimama, Valencia, the South 301 area. Like that's, like, how are they gonna get to 301 to catch the bus if not by traffic? So that's one of the problems we see down there. But we are aware of the 301 corridor. It's part of, it's gonna be part of the TDP process.
I appreciate your presentation. It's great. So that's all I have.
Any questions or comments online?
I guess
Oh.
this is
Let Ivia have her moment and then Brandon, I'll come back to you. Go ahead, Ivia.
sorry, thank you. This is Ivy Adams at large. I have a question similar to what Dustin was saying. So this presentation was great, but separately, since ridership has declined in the last 5 years, what if with all of the changes, people changing jobs, there is an increase? How do you guys account for that in this next steps on the public input plan?
So in terms of like future growth in general, you mean?
Yes, right, because you're basing on previous numbers, but as we know, COVID was a one-off, supposedly. And those numbers went down drastically and have not recovered. But what if we have a one-off upward spike? Is there like a certain amount that you account for? We're going to include X amount or this amount just in case, as opposed to just saying we've been declining?
There is a forward-looking projection. There is a travel demand model that's updated, ridership estimations that are made, and they are part of this decision process as well. So that's all to say that per the model, I'm not super well versed on the model, but per that process, these routes are not expected to have growth in the near future.
And I apologize, can you define what near future is?
I would say the next 5 to 10 years.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
All right, let me bring it back into the room. Brandon, go ahead.
Yeah, so I do appreciate the presentation. I guess I had a couple of questions. So like, one, if I could just like really broad scope and like understand it in a wider context. I understand that we are effectively is a budget neutral move, right? Where it won't cost it or any money, but we are looking at improving the frequency of a route from 60 minutes to 30 minutes and the increase of the 34 bus so that we have one more bus so that's more reliable at a cost of removing approximately 3 to 4 routes, right? Effectively. Do we have a breakdown of like what the expected extra cost of being able to add a bus to the 34 route and improve the frequency of, I believe, the 7 route or the 9 route, versus what we are estimated to be making back in terms of being able to eliminate some of these routes that are less rided? And do we have like a list of alternative options that were considered in terms of bus routes? Or like, for example, obviously, there are probably lots of priorities that you guys have. Are there a list of other things that instead of improving the frequency on one route, you guys looked at improving the frequency on another route? Is there other alternatives we're able to weigh?
Yeah, good question. So it is a wash. So we looked at what we take and what we give, and it balances out. It's the only way this plays out well. We cannot assume new funding. That's what the TDP is for, and that's why I bring it up in the presentation, because I want to make it clear. It's not that we don't want to grow, it's that this exercise itself is about not adding more subtracting anything, just moving things around. In terms of other alternatives, we did look at a lot of options. Route 9 rose to the top for several reasons, in terms of population surge, jobs, percent onto the poverty line, number of connections. So, but we did look at several. It was a whole thing. We looked at several routes and went back to it several times.
Yeah, I appreciate it, because if I'm just gonna be completely honest, like me as somebody who's just like looking at it from a very outsider perspective, the elimination of 3 to 4 lines for the marginal improvement of 2 lines is like, it is. I would love to see the breakdown of what the costs and how it's allocated look like or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I'll say the 24, 25 are very small routes resource wise. They only have 6 trips a day. So 3 in the morning out of base, 3 in the afternoon back home. The South County Flex, they are weekday only. The South County Flex is weekday only as well, and it ends early. So I have here, so we talk about it in terms of revenue hours, not money. Those things translate to each other, but it's easier to look at it in terms of revenue hours. So the 24, 25, eliminating them is about 60 revenue hours. The flex is about 14, so what's that, 30? And then the 9 and the 34 together is about 38. So we're taking those, what did I say, 40, 30? No. Okay. 24, 25, South County Flex is 28. I can do math, I promise. And then 934 is, but that's a 28, right? Yeah, 28, and then 934 is about 27. So we're taking those 28 and putting 27 at this time.
Dana? Well, something you just said got under somebody's saddle over here. All right, we have at least 2 other questions in the queue, and Dana's on board. Go ahead.
So it says, I'm sorry if I missed this. It says for Route 34 that the route would improve reliability by adjusting schedule to arrive on time more often. What does that mean? What does that look like?
Well, there are 3 things that go on. There is how long it takes to get from A to B, how many buses you have, and how frequent you want it to go. You get 2, and if you have 2, you get the 3rd one. So how long it takes is getting bigger and bigger because of traffic, right? As over the past 5 years, over the past year, for that matter. And then how often we want it to come, we don't want to change that number. So if one is growing and this one we don't want to change it, we need to increase the resources, so add buses. So that's what that's about. Now, for to add that bus, we need it from somewhere else.
So it just addresses delays by adding a bus, but it doesn't change the frequency.
Correct.
Okay. Why the 9 and not the 12? Because we had looked at the 12 as also being a high priority route to increase frequency.
Yeah, the 12 is already at 30 minutes. The 9 is at 60, so we wanted to
Okay.
improve the 60-minute route to be more impactful.
One more question, the 37, the loop that's removed, that's gonna impact HCC students, right? Like, is there any thought to maybe providing like a shuttle or something? How will HCC students be able to access the bus without is it a half a mile walk?
Yeah.
That's not too bad. That's not too bad. I'm curious, do you know how many HCC students take the route from there?
It's about 10 to 13 per day.
Okay.
It's like one per trip-ish. But for every one that gets up at HTC, you have 10 on the bus that are just looping around for fun. So that was the logic behind it.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, I had some hands pop up over here to the right.
I think that there's a concern for like people who are service people who don't have a car and need those routes in those areas. Now don't have the access to it. So, and then the way that you guys were reaching out to the public did not, for example, include any TV ads or like a TV report about this, route closures. Is there a way that we can recommend that like further public like engagement to be done or more extensive public engagement for these closures to reach the people?
Yeah, I mean, we can get together and give us some thought. We can for sure incorporate it for next time. I'm not sure like 2 weeks, not part of the list. Maybe it's expensive. I don't know the details, but we do have like a very extensive list, but of course there's always more we could do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these are the main concerns. Everyone else kind of touched on all of them, but.
Okay, Dustin, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, so to be certain, these cancellations of the routes are because the dwindling of ridership and it's a budgetary measure to be taken.
It's not a budget cut, it's a reallocation. So we're moving things around underutilized to overutilized. And this is not exactly one-on-one, but it's just an example. If you have a route where you have constantly only 3 people on it, again, it's just for argument's sake. And then you have a route that you have standing room only constantly. That maybe the idea behind it is let's grab those resources from this route that's underutilized and put it towards the one that's needs more resources.
Okay, that makes sense. I understand that piece of it, but when I'm looking at your productivity chart here, I see at least one of those routes is excelling above the route standard, unless I'm reading this wrong. Because what I'm looking at is it looks like route 24LX, and you have it designated as a limited express, and your express route standard is 7.1. Well, this is exceeding, has 11.41. You're well above that criteria. Now, granted, you may not have the number of ridership that you had prior to COVID, but to me, it seems like, hey, that route is exceeding the standard overall. So I have a hard time trying to accept the justification. Well, we're not having so much ridership. That's why we're eliminating it when it's exceeding your standard.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. There's a lot of factors to look at outside of the ridership. I know ridership is kind of misleading because it's it's 90 people and what does that mean? Passengers per revenue hour is the standard we saw. We look at things like, are there alternatives? Like, could these people have a different option to get to where they need to go? And how bad is the need on the other end? And I'll clarify though, it's just all a proposal. Like if nothing changes, that's an option too. Like if ultimately the board or public says we don't want this and then the board doesn't approve it, then that's fine too. It's been also, there's been a board member that has pushed for those route eliminations as well, so that's something we have to consider too.
Can I ask who that board member is?
Probably Wastel, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wants to eliminate all of it.
He doesn't even live in there. He doesn't live in that area that.
Yeah, well, go to a meeting and tell him about it.
Need buses?
Huh?
Oh, dear.
We don't need buses.
And this is on the TPO board agenda next week as a status report like it is for you.
And he's on the TPO board as well.
Yes.
Yeah, and he already saw it on the hard board, and he was pretty okay with it.
Sure. Okay. Anything else in the room? Mr. Citro?
I just have an off question. We just talked, Ms. Watkins, about $25 million a year that is allotted to HART. Is that specifically funding that goes into those projects such as buying more buses, repairing bus stops, those types of things? Can any of that money be funneled in to save some of these routes that we have discussed?
That's capital, it's capital money.
So that's expressly for those items. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Again, back in the room. Anything?
I just want to make a statement. I just think that there needs to be more advertising. I know after tonight, I'll be pushing this as hard as I can of these routes, because I guarantee you there are people who have no idea if there is a way to get to and from the base without having to drive their own vehicle.
Was there anybody online?
I think, Ivia, you have your hand raised still? Are you looking to make another comment?
No, I'm good. Thank you. I think he answered, Dustin just answered my other question.
Susie?
I'm president of Bloomingdale Neighborhood Association. I will be posting about this on our website, so hopefully people who are concerned will attend or otherwise, the Bloomingdale meeting.
Yes.
Secondly, I was at the Brandon Outreach Clinic, a free medical clinic for the working poor. They often took Sunshine Line to get to ours. The majority of the time, and this is over 9 years' experience, the Sunshine Line timeliness is not good. Just the nature of it, and also my patients were medically needy, so they're part of the situation. So saying that these people could potentially, if they qualify, get Sunshine Line to the park and ride is not really a reliable method.
Yeah, no, that's good. We get that similar feedback for our area transit service. I think it's a hazard of the trade.
Exactly. Medically needy are going to take longer to load and unload for various reasons.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just wanted to let all the CAC members know that I sent you an email on September 17th with the proposed service change flyer information. I can resend it if someone wants it. And you also have it here, and I think Jesus might have some extras. But you should, if you were part of the committee in September, you should have it in your email as well.
You can send it so I can post it.
I will send it to you, yeah.
Andrew?
Andrew Marquetti, so what were the last proposed service changes that actually went into effect? Were there 2025, 2024, 2023 changes as well that actually went into effect, similar to what we're talking for 2026?
Of this size, it would be 2020. And they were very minor too. Like, this is minor, like. The original scenarios were super aggressive, and we did not like that. It was like cutting a lot and putting here and the past few exercises like this one, 2021, 2023, they were very minor changes.
Okay, so it sounds like this would be 3 years before or since we've done changes in the past to become maybe more efficient for HART in the bus system. I think we just need to come to grips with, are we gonna measure HART on number of ridership in general, or the revenue hour ride per hour? What was the metric you used?
Passengers per revenue now.
Okay, so it's efficiency, or is it, ridership count? We just need to come to grips with which is more important as you balance your goal to be more efficient and therefore maybe shift capacity into other areas.
Yeah, we'll look at both, but for efficiency, passengers per revenue hour is more relevant.
Okay, and I guess last question. So in the 3 years later, the 6 alterations, not improvements, but the adjustments, this was the 6 that you could come up with after 3 years since you've done adjustments in the past, right? So I guess point being, we haven't done adjustment in 3 years. We're looking to do 6 adjustments, and these are the low hanging fruit, if you will, that you've determined for efficiency purposes.
Yeah, so that's a rabbit hole. I didn't take you all down. The first part of this analysis was looking at the system and strengths and weaknesses. Like I did mention that, but I didn't show you this data. What the data showed is that CAR is very efficient as it is. Like all our routes are doing very well. If we want to change something, then there are the lowest ones that we could eliminate and then put it towards this ones that needed, but very, very minimal changes. Like we couldn't do anything crazy. We didn't have a route that we would be like, oh, this route doesn't work. We're going to take it out, even though it's in the city center or whatever the case may be.
Matt, did you have your hand up again?
I did. It's just a general question. I know that I flew into Pi last year and they offered an Uber service. Like when I logged into Uber, it's like for Pinellas County connectivity or something. Do they propose something similar to this to offset the working poor that are trying to get to work? Like, is there any kind of other option like that that would allow these people to maintain a job?
Yeah, that's what they call a first last mile. They do it in Pinellas County. That's one of the options we're looking at for South County in particular. Part of South County, so Ruskin, Sun City Center, Waimama. That's one. Again, none of that is part of the funded plan.
Right.
The whole reallocation, there was not enough left over to keep that, but it's one of the options we're looking at for that area.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, this item was agended for roughly 15 minutes of discussion, and we took considerably more than that. That's fine, because we came into it ahead of schedule, but we're pretty much on the schedule again. I just have a couple of real quick questions for you, Susan. First of all, your visit here to us today, is this considered an official part of your public outreach?
If your question is, if the question is your comments just now are going into the log, the answer is no.
That's what I
want
want. Okay.
If you want your comments to be officially logged, they need to go to the channel plan show.
Got it. So everything we've said here for the last 30 minutes was fun, but none of it's getting where it needs to go for anybody else's consideration.
I'll bring it in, I'll bring it to, I'll talk about it internally with staff, but it's not gonna be part of the official log.
Understood.
If you want it to be official comment, it needs to go to those channels.
Okay, so everyone in the room, obviously this had a lot of interest for a lot of people. Make sure that you go to the site, you put in your comments, you make sure that you've got yourself logged in. You may even want to consider making public comment at the TPO board meeting next week. It's on their agenda. Might be good for them to hear some of what went on here today. I think that's all I've got. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, we are now approaching 7:10, and 7:10 on our agenda is Connor McDonald, Temple Terrace Multimodal Network Connections Study.
Yes,
And you're actually here.
I am.
How about that?
Yes, it's been a while.
It has. Used to watching you on TV.
All right. So I'm Connor Tripp with McDonald TPO staff. I'm here this evening to discuss with you the Temple Terrace Multimodal Network Connection Study, which is quite a mouthful. Essentially, it's a concept to create a loop, sort of loop trail network from Temple Terrace connecting key locations. And the concept was brought forth by Mayor Ross, who's the TPO chair. He wanted to model something after similar to like the Boston Freedom Trail, so really connecting key locations, marketing and everything that goes into them. So the background is that we want to identify opportunities for a premier network of multimodal trails that can connect the city's key points and highlight its history and charm. So the objectives: identify a preferred multimodal trail network, enhance connectivity among neighborhoods, commercial areas, parks, and engage the public and key stakeholders to obtain feedback and insights into the community's vision. So our timeline, we started earlier this year, early summer, I would say. This is in partnership with the consultant for Nash. So we reviewed existing plans, we conducted existing conditions assessment, and also conducted a public survey, which I'll share the results. We've also held a public stakeholder workshop. We have some concept developments, and next Saturday, we'll be working on public feedback. And from there, we'll do preferred network prioritization, so breaking up the trail network into segments and then creating prioritization of those. And then from there, we'll have a cost and feasibility analysis, and finally the network mapping. And then all of this will accumulate into a draft plan that we will review. We'll come back to you in the committees. We'll also go to the Temple Terrace City Council meeting and our team. So some of the highlights, there were about 120 total responses. And I'll share some of these with you. So 51% of the respondents indicated that it was a lack of safe routes that they're walking or biking more often. 50% of the respondents slept daily or several times a week for their frequency. Respondents ranked parks, shopping, and neighborhoods as their top 3 destinations. They also ranked safety, connectivity, and comfort as their top 3 most important features. The stakeholder meeting, our attendees, of course, we had TPO staff, we had City of Temple Terrace engineering staff, Westbrook County, HART, the Temple Terrace, a representative from Temple Terrace EPAC, and also Florida College administrators, Florida College people located in Temple Terrace. So some of the results of that, we found that stakeholders really emphasized the need for connectivity. They identified some regional opportunities. They said that Temple Terrace has a unique challenge and opportunity to connect to regional networks like the Canal Trail, be it the Sun Trail and State roads. They also mentioned that HART has a robust ridership in Temple Terrace, provides connectivity to USF, net parks such as parking downtown. They also identified the 56th Street downtown CRA as having a high pedestrian activity today. And ongoing park improvements and new businesses will likely increase demand for multi-level connectivity in that specific area. This looks a little light on my screen, please start up there, but these are the community activity centers that we identified from information we had before. Some of this is from Temple Terrace, some of this is from the Planning Commission side of the house. The community activity areas identified, there's some commercial corridors, cultural, open space, and residential corridors, neighborhood activity centers. In the green is parks and recreation, and it kind of hashes future economic development areas. And we also have libraries and schools. So using these locations, we created this map. So the blue is the draft trail route that would create that kind of loop. The red is kind of alternatives that could go through these loop connections. As you can see, they're kind of connected to areas that we have alternatives to. So that's what we're really going to be gathering the public feedback on. So the planning criteria used to create that alignment. The blue line was posted speed limits, existing multi-modal facilities, of course, connectivity to parks, schools, commercial and civic uses. There's also opportunities for separation from the road, opportunities identified in prior planning efforts as well. The draft alignment connects up to 13 city parks, which my personal opinion is pretty impressive. And the alignment connects key civic and commercial areas, including City Hall, Public Works, the downtown CRA, 3 public schools. So further into that, alternatives for public feedback, the engagement seeks to combine on the ground knowledge that the public hopefully will have with planning criteria to identify the preferred alternatives. The red segments are preliminary alternatives in areas with multiple connection options, and people will refine with that feedback. We'll be collecting the feedback via tabletop map questionnaire at the October 11th Temple Terrace Fire Station open house, which typically has quite a bit of foot traffic, so hopefully we'll get a lot of response. So the discussion today, I wanted to bring to you, not just to say this is what we have, I want to bring back, so it's a so what, right? So I want to bring to you discussion points that we can really guide the conversation on. So I'll lead with, what factors should be considered in prioritizing parts of these trail loops? What do you feel, in your opinion, should be considered in that? What facilities should be considered when attracting people outside of Temple Terrace? And then also, what unique cultural or natural features should be considered in future branding efforts? And the next steps, to collect public and community feedback this month. In the next few months, we'll create that prioritization methods and cost and feasibility analysis. And then in December and to February, we'll have that final plan to the Temple Terrace City Council, the committees, and with that, I'll take any comments or questions. I will go back to those discussions.
Okey dokey. Comments, questions? Dana?
I think the name, like the blue line, is cute. That's my feedback.
Okay. I saw other hands up here. Matt?
Just a quick question on funding. Where's the proposed funding for the study and the proposed funding for the execution and building coming from?
Yeah, absolutely. So from the beginning, this study particular that we're doing, it's funded through federal dollars, planning funds that we have for the NPO. And then from there, the actual infrastructure on the ground, that'll come from potentially the city council, like from the city's capital improvement program. It could come from our TIP as well, if that were prioritized and were programmed in there. So those are the two major aspects. And at the end of the plan, we'll create like an implementation guide so that the city officials, the city staff know what to do next and how to create this, how to get it from a plan to on the ground.
All right, thank you.
All right, anybody else on the left here? Nope, right side? Nope. Temple Terrace, yes.
Well, I'm very happy that this study is being done. However, I have a question about who did you guys serve? Like, it looks like there was a survey that was done and you have percentages, but it's, how did you guys decide on these people to survey? That's my question.
Absolutely, great question.
Did you guys go to reach to get these people?
Right, we posted obviously on our website and social media, but also posted flyers around town that Elizabeth helped me post in the libraries and these key community locations. We gather more robust feedback from what we've seen on the web search.
Okay, and then you had a map of the area, like the hot spots to connect it. To community, the high community activity. And I just feel like living there, I know there's a lot more hotspots than this, a lot more points of interest than that. But I mean, I'm supporting I think it's a good project and we can move forward.
Anybody else on the right side? Anybody online?
Anyone online? I see no hands raised online.
Okay, another loop through the room. Dana?
I don't know if it was stated, but is there like a stated specific mode or modes that this is for? Because my understanding of Temple Terrace has always been that it's like golf cart centric, but this seems like a bike ped loop, which is awesome. My feedback to one of the discussion questions about prioritization would be to prioritize pedestrians and then bicyclists, kind of like the most vulnerable users first up the chain. And to be cognizant of like a separation of those uses to wherever possible so that people walking won't get hit by a bike or a golf cart. Making sure that the pathway is wide enough or there's some kind of color or material distinguishing the different, or paint. But yeah, is there like a stated, is it bike ped or is it truly
Usually
multimodal?
it's multimodal, so
Okay.
it is definitely bike and pedestrian led. And we did leave it open a little bit for golf carts because we know that there's a high golf cart use in Temple Terrace. Some of these, just as you're mentioning, maybe off-road facilities that may not be appropriate for a golf cart. Many of them may be on road facilities on a low stress road, so it might be a golf cart might be able to use that part.
Anything else in the room? What Hart route serves Temple Terrace?
That's a great question. There are three, Route 6, Route 39, and Route 48. And then there's the flex, but that's Pelican Park, so.
And how many of those 3 routes, or 4 if you include the flex, how many of those have intersecting connections to this multimodal trail?
I know that we did include those routes, and we also had our stakeholder meeting. It's not on this map, but when I bring this back for action, I can certainly tell you the numbers of how many routes are going to be connected.
Okay. The service modifications that we just got done talking about don't affect any of those routes?
No.
All right. Anything else? Dana?
I would just follow up with that the bus stops should be highlighted on your eventual map and considered with like different locations.
Yeah, I'm thinking, this will never be me, but I'm thinking somebody might want to load their bike onto a route down here in Tampa, take it up to the Temple Terrace and take a ride around, like I said, it won't be me, but it'll be somebody. So maybe a little bit more discussion and connectivity in that regard would be helpful. Joe?
Yes, and I would be one of those people, but are there going to be, thank you, Mr. Chair, Joseph Cedar, are there going to be parking facilities around the route where I can actually park my car, unload my bike, and be able to use these wonderful trails?
That's a great question, and I know that there's 13 parks that are connected. I don't know the parking situation in all those parks. But that's definitely something we consider both in the prioritization and also this on the map.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sure. Did you have a hand up?
I was also wondering if you guys can consider the community centers or community spots that are not necessarily within the city of Temple Terrace, but like in the vicinity of them. Because for example, if, let's say, not specifically that, but if let's say there's a Dollar Tree there that a lot of people walk to, but it's not in an incorporated Temple Terrace, but it's maybe city of Tampa or whatever, but it's close by, then I think we need to also consider that connecting to that, like the locals, the people who live in Temple Terrace within the boundaries actually would need to get there. Same thing with like USF, if like a student lives within city of Temple Terrace, they need to, because a lot of students don't have cars, and having an accessibility by bike will actually bring a lot of people, will bring students to be able to live in Temple Terrace and also have it, because they will have access to a school.
Absolutely. So to answer your question, we do kind of barely see it on this map, but the gray lines, we did include as well as, other opportunities that are not within this trail route. So we do have other opportunities like to go up to USF. There's one that will go to the bypass canal trail. So we did consider that. It's just not exactly part of that trail network, but we did want to include that as well. Exactly what you're saying.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
One final thing is that for community outreach, I think I highly recommend that you have someone who speaks Arabic and ask the questions in Arabic, because there's a big Middle Eastern community in Temple Terrace that are not been talked to. And they speak English too, but there are a lot of business owners along the main corridor that, you can talk to them as well. And also, I think you guys should do like a little bit more outreach than just, I know there's a big community that does like the walk in the afternoons and at night, just for recreational, but there's also a lot of people that use the street for other purposes and getting to like their destinations within the city that have not been. Okay.
All right, Connor, thank you.
Thank you.
It's 7:25, which means it is Lisa Silva time. Henderson Boulevard, Manhattan Avenue Vision Plan.
Guys. Okay. Little, okay,
How you doing? You good?
you ready? Okay, Lisa Silva, TPO staff. I'm the Vision Zero coordinator, so once again, I'm here on a safety-related project. So this one's distinctly different than the last one I brought you. This one is over 4 miles long. And, it's, includes Henderson Boulevard, Kennedy. And then it transitions to Manhattan Avenue, all the way down to Gandy. Oh, no. Oh, Sarah. Okay, it's a different language.
Hey,
Different.
cool.
All right, well, it's one down. Just.
Okay.
All right.
Keeping you on your
Okay.
toes.
I can dance, okay. So, of course, it's going to improve safety for all users. There's lots of cars and other vehicles that use the corridor already, so, but not a lot of great comfort level for other modes. So there is a focus on that so that we have choices getting around on the corridor. So, and then we're balancing that with all the other great land use. All right, Josie, put it during my. All right. So big project, and lots of area to cover. I'm gonna break it down into chunks and show it to you over time. We've been going out, we did existing conditions analysis, so you're gonna get a little sense of all the things that we studied. We kicked it off with all of our stakeholders. So here's the deal. This 4 miles, over 4 mile segment is all in the city, but not owned or maintained by the city. So a portion of it is owned and maintained by District 7. Florida Department of Transportation, and a portion of it is unincorporated Hillsborough. So we get everybody at the table because everybody's impacted. And so they're all having a say on what gets developed. This is what we're calling a vision plan. This is not a quick build plan. So this is what would the corridor need to be like when it's kind of all grown up. So not just your quick this, but like the long-term vision. So that's unique this time around. So now, then we developed concepts and I'm here to kind of get you wet your whistle because we're asking the public to come weigh in on those concepts. And then we'll refine them and take it forward for acceptance. So in the existing conditions, did general overview, looked at safety. So we did the crash analysis. We looked at the planning context. So we've been coordinating with the comprehensive plan updates and all the state laws and things. And then the operational analysis, level of service, the context, the roadway classification. Who lives along the corridor? How many people live along the corridor? How much growth has been going on along the corridor? We walked the entire thing. So I got my steps in. I did over 8 miles in our 2-day field audit. We had many representatives out there walking the corridor with us, but we didn't just walk the corridor. We drug our wagon full of water and field supplies so that we would experience all the mobility issues that someone having a scooter or a wheelchair might experience on the corridor. And it was quite challenging. So all those observations are in our field notes. Looked at the roadway type, where the truck routes are designated or not designated, the ADA requirements and the lack of facilities for bike ped, where the transit routes are and are not, and all of that. So all that got summarized in this lovely, at least 80-page document. It's on our website, as are all the technical appendices that go along with that. And that summarizes all this technical information that we did along the corridor. There were traffic counts out there. So we looked at the historical ones, but then we had consultants go out and do traffic counts. And it wasn't just the traffic counts of the vehicles, it was to look at all the other non-vehicular modes as well. A lot of the
countermeasures that we want to consider, have to know what our volumes are and our traffic counts are. So all that stuff was studied and evaluated. And as in the report, we looked at all the planned roadway projects. So there are bike facility plans, greenways and trails master plans, school plans, all those things are being considered. The crash history, the crash type. Here's some walk audit highlights. You can see it's dragging our little wagons and us interviewing the different users along the corridor. There are a few marked crosswalks, but many that are not. So there's a lot of legal crossings, but not very comfortable crossings. A lot of schools along the corridor, not like right up on the corridor, but quite adjacent to the corridor, like 5 and maybe a couple more. So considered and looked at those, observed the arrival and dismissal of the schools. Here's our walk audit path, where at least we got a lot of steps and sweat in. And then we have the field review findings and observations, looking at utility issues, the sidewalk gaps, driveway cuts. There's just like a whole bunch of not existing facilities where people are just parking right on what should be a sidewalk. People parking cars that are getting work done on what should be the sidewalk and the walking lanes and stuff. So there's some real fun challenges ahead. So then traffic counts, traffic maneuvers and turning movements. So then we're like, after we looked all this and got a sense, we're like, well, what are some things maybe we could look at? So we've got a 4-mile segment, so they're broken into, I believe we have a 9. So little chunks in and then eat the corridor transitions and contacts and types. So that's also part of why we're breaking it out in little chunks. So started at the top in the north from Kennedy down to Azeel. You can see what the existing right-of-way widths and layout is. Then got Azeel to Swan. And then looking at maybe a potential intersection concept for section 2 at a ratio, what you could be there. So these concepts are what we'll be showing the public and asking them to weigh in on. We also have some questions in the form of a survey for the public to do. So here we got Swan and Morrison for right-of-way considerations. There's a really old survey. I think maybe 1941 or something. So it does not match up to the real world situation out there. So that's one of the opportunities we identified right away. So we need a real survey once you're going to move past vision, which we're in the vision stage, and move into any kind of implementation or form of design. Some quicker build ideas to be done with some paint signage and signal modification. But again, this is a vision plan. So we're looking at like what could or should it be? So should you go with sidewalks and landscaping, or more of a buffered bike lane situation? You're going to see these at the charrette that we have designed and planned for November 12th. I'll get to the details of that in a minute, but that's what we're going to be asking the public to weigh in on. Some of our innovative ideas are like, hey, we've heard that everybody's wants to kind of lose their minds, sitting out there and waiting to turn left at some of these crazy 6-pointed intersections with the signals and stuff. So maybe a roundabout, a series of roundabouts. So then that would help with the speed management along the corridor. And then people wouldn't have to wait. They could just continuously dash out any of those 6 legs they needed to. Or possibly, we observed some of them already have some prohibited access. Like Morrison is one of those where you can't quite get through with a vehicle. So are there some others that this community would accept? And if so, where? One of them we were like, oh, throwing out there, just spitballing. We're like, the people on the corridor were like, oh, no, there's a school over there. You can't close that one. So we're like, oh, yay. So that's what we need the community to like weigh in now and tell us some of the, good things and bad things that would be good along the corridor. We have Neptune and San Miguel. Again, this is a long corridor. I'm doing a quick high level overview of it. And here's another one of the roundabout concepts. We've got now a transition to Manhattan, and has a different feel, has some different opportunities and some different right-of-way widths. So definitely, but it's long and straight and not a lot of identified crossings. So we want to put some of those crossings in. So we want to get the community to say where they really, really, really would love to have the crossings and then marry those up then with our, also with our transit stops because they're not ideally lined up yet. Okay, so this is the, giving the overview of like all the existing conditions analysis. So now with some potential alternatives, review with the stakeholders, even just today, hot off the presses, they're like, oh, now they have their assignment to weigh in on them because we're gonna publish them for the November 12th charrette. It's gonna be an in-person one. So charrette is a workshop where you just kind of roll up your sleeves and you participate in marking up the plans, giving us your little Post-its, giving me your comments, use the markers. We'll have little stickers to like mark and rate things. Here's the website. It's at our Always Plan Hillsborough website. I just type in the word Henderson and it pops up, but there's the technical path. And then once we get all of the stakeholder and public, that will be developed to inform the final thing. Here's a little sneak peek at some of the exhibits we've been developing. So we'll have the countermeasures, different types of countermeasures, and ask people to weigh in on, do you like those? Do you not like them? Are any of them appropriate along the corridor? You're going to see these various cross sections. We have the existing cross sections. So you can see what's out there today, but we're proposing this a little more pedestrian focused, one that's like bicycle focused, and then we have the hybrid. So is it one, both, various ones, and it might be different in segment 1 and different in segment 9, and then we would work out sorting out how you transition all that and whether they can work together. It's going to be on the corridor at the Jam Plant Library. It happens to be right there on Manhattan, has ample parking. We're even checking the bicycle parking, and that was one of our questions today. So we're following up on that. It'll be that evening in our big community room right there at the beginning and the entrance of the library. But parallel and consistent with this, and a little bit before the charrette, probably 2 weeks, we will open up the survey and have an online map of the roll plots online. So you can do the same thing. You go put your little sticky notes on there. You can't attend in person. We want to capture your voice that way. So there'll be an online interactive map and the same questions we're asking the public that evening. So please do bring your friends and family, tell everyone. You'll see our flyer that I just had there posted on social media. It's in your packet today. So feel free to cross post. If a group out there is gathered with, several people, I will come and present to them as well. If you have any groups that are interested in a presentation like this. So that's my little ditty. I'll take questions.
Okay, well, we have about 4 minutes left of budgeted time for this presentation, so please keep that in mind if you have questions or comments. Matt Sink.
For roundabouts, I know that people get really weird about them sometimes. A really good example of one was done on Ridgewood and Amelia, right by Armature Works, where they redid it. If you're looking for example, you might want to show people what one looks like in a neighborhood. Ridgewood and Amelia is probably the best one that they've done.
Okay, you like that one. Okay. Yes, we have a little video on the website, introducing the concept, and we've been posting about it. And then I have a little handout on the roundabout. Yeah, and
Mr. Seatrill, did I see a hand? Or
Yes,
think
yeah.
you up or something?
Yes, I gave you the
Yeah,
nod, Mr. Chair.
You gave me the look. All right.
Yes, Ms. Silva, for everyone here, Henderson is the county road and Manhattan is the FDOT road.
the reverse. Manhattan is the county owned.
And, okay, thank you. From Kennedy all the way to San Jose is a very busy business district, as is from El Prado to Gandy. I would hope we would think about wider sidewalks than 5 foot. That way people that live within that area could walk, bike, stroll to these businesses, whether they're bars or retail or whatever.
White walk is one of the alternatives that would be.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank
10
you.
to
Chair.
10 to 12 feet.
Sure. Other quick comments or questions? Right side? Anybody online?
Anyone online?
Nope. Okay.
Dana? Well,
Keith, I have a quick question.
you almost got away.
Sorry.
Almost clean break.
For the charrettes, there's so many segments and it's such a long corridor. Why are you just doing the one charrette?
Parallel with the online all month opportunity to participate as well.
And well, okay, it's only
It'll
4
open 2
miles.
weeks before and conclude 2 weeks after the charrette. The charrette's for the in-person people, but the same opportunity to comment is online.
Okay, thank you.
I
I have a question about some of the renderings that you show, the cross sections. If you can just show one. Yeah, the parking on the side looks off. No, a little next one, or
Say 9. Or say,
segment 9, for example.
I mean, it looks like the cars are parked 90 degrees to the direction of the roadway and
Can you
just
section 9?
somehow it seems confusing.
There's,
At least that graphic seems probably on Henderson.
This is cross section 2.
Like Dale Mabry.
this another.
Okay, well, we'll check, double check that. These are just a little taste of some of the boards that we're gonna be doing out there.
But it is confusing because when you look at it, you see these cars parked just off the right of way. Right in front of the building, but they're parked 90 degrees.
Oh, yeah.
It just- it
Well,
just-
because they are.
Yeah.
They are in real life.
That's the
Yeah.
condition of it.
That's why that's a big problem.
It's a
They
giant
use,
apron.
they use the sidewalk and the travel lane to back up today. Yes.
It's a giant apron. Think about.
So that's why, I didn't mention this, but like land use is also at the table. So like my land use buddies, the planning commissioner, all the stakeholder team. And I'm like, the code overhaul and the things that they're gonna apply to corridors, I would like them to use it. Manhattan Henderson is one of their first guinea pigs because we've got to do something to incentivize redevelopment of these and make these horrible non-conformities that are a safety issue go away. So looking for incentives would be like some of the next steps, and the next steps is one of the products of this one. It's like, this is the idea, how many steps is it gonna take? And it's not gonna be just transportation steps, it's gonna be a partnership with land use. But yes, you're right. That is weird, and that is the way it is today.
Okay, we are now on borrowed time, Dustin. Go ahead.
So just one, well, 2 questions here. Because it seems like it's a high traffic route happening all the way through. What is the reasoning for doing the roundabouts? Is that just because it's the safest way to get traffic through? Because I guarantee you're gonna have major backups with the roundabouts in these intersections. And then the second one is there, segment 3. It's a 4-lane road called right now, but you're proposing to reduce it down to a single lane in each direction. Is that because for safety measures or?
We looked at lane repurposing and it did not work. So that will not be one of the final cross sections shown. So, and roundabouts are 2-lane roundabouts. They do not lose a lane of travel in the roundabouts. Roundabouts do exponentially help with safety and then flow because these 6-legged traffic signals take such a long time for the light cycle that people don't want to wait and they get impatient and stuff. So we've got that situation. And there is these roadways, even when our future projections do not fail. We have many failing roads, level service F and worse. This one does not even get to that way, even in the future. It seems like it's high traffic road, but it really isn't. Like there's like 9,000 at one point and up to 23,000 daily trips per day. And another segment, that's not high when you consider like Kennedy and Del Mabry and Gandy, just might feel it. But when you're out there, it really flows pretty good and it will continue to perform and flow. If you want to dig into it, it's in the existing conditions report on the website.
There any consideration, Andrew Marquetti, any consideration around parallel parking in the right of way and sort of set one of these travel lanes as a way to traffic measure and also to replace some of the parking that someone might lose in a redevelopment on the adjacent to the right of way?
That would have to be a future thing, but that's a creative solution. Right now, lane repurposing is not very popular and it would cause some of these roadways to fail and move to that level service. That may be a desire in the future, but it's not being explored right now, but future thing when we look at solving that redevelopment, that is our greatest.
Okay, thank you so much, Lisa, appreciate it. All right, we are now to item 8D on our agenda. Standing member request. This was a request made, I think, at our last meeting, actually, to update on the bill to dissolve HART and create a Tampa Transit Authority.
I have no update on this.
Okay, well, it's good that we put it on the agenda then.
We will keep it on the agenda because it
It'll
was
just be
a
there?
request, and if I have nothing, I'll just tell you I have nothing. But I have
Okay.
something else.
All right, and that relates back to a little bit of the discussion we had earlier about the proposal from County Commission about cutting the routes outside of the city of Tampa.
Same person.
Same, yeah, same person. And then standing member request, you learned. Update on potential merger of the Tampa Bay MPOs. Anything going on
I
there?
do have a very brief update on November 14th at 12:30 PM to 3 o'clock. There will be a principals workshop at the Collaborative Labs, which is at St. Pete College, the epicenter. We have invited every elected official in Pinellas, Pasco, and Hillsborough counties, as well as all the appointed officials, such as TPO board members who are not elected officials, and city managers, county administrators, those kind of individuals. It will be open to the public. You can find information on it on our website. I'm sure we'll have more posted on it going forward. It was just announced in the past.
When is that?
November 14th. It's a Friday at 12:30 PM till 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
That ought to be fun. Okay, unfinished business, Walk of Remembrance
Yeah.
flyer,
So that is in your packet. And if it's okay, Chair, I'll just go through all these updates.
please.
So the Walk of Remembrance is this Sunday evening. The flyer is in your packet. The next CAC meeting, November 5th. I will ask you, I'm sure you're always on your best behavior, but I'm not gonna be here. Gina will be here filling in for me, so I will miss you next month. Yep,
She's tough.
or not. That's your choice. She's retiring soon, so this is, chance to give her a little. I did want to introduce two other concepts for you that are not in here. One is we've gotten an interest from other committees to do updates similar to what the CC chair does. And we are looking at doing a rotation so that it might be the CAC doesn't do an update every month, but you would be like every 3 or 4 months so that other committees could do what you do. So I wanted to get your reactions to that. And another item for your reactions is the TPO posted on social media about blocking the box, which is essentially when the light turns red and cars are in the intersection so the other cars don't come through. And we're looking for suggestions of locations within Hillsborough County, anywhere in Hillsborough County where you see this happening that we might be able to explore it for public safety notices or other work. And my final thing, and I know I left you a couple of things for feedback. My final thing is I wanted to recognize Livia, who's sitting in the audience. She is our fellow. She's been really helpful in doing some material. And we have a camera, so she might be taking pictures. And with that, that's what I've got. And we know some of them you might want feedback if there's time for it.
Just take a couple steps back. What was that about,
The chairs.
presentation to the TPO board? I want to make sure I understood that.
So we received, I think through conversations, other committees are interested in doing like what you do when you give the chair's report to the TPO board. And they would like an opportunity to do that. In order to do that, for time's sake, it may mean that the CAC report would be included in writing, which it already is, rather than you speaking at every meeting. But I would like your feedback on if the CAC is comfortable with exploring that, or if you have concerns with the written report only.
Well, personally, I'd prefer to keep on going and having those presentations made in person as we're doing. That was.
I second that.
It was I don't know if it was hard fought, but it was certainly well-deserved. That came to be some years ago, and I think we've done a good job of maintaining the tradition. So I'm not saying other committee members should not have the opportunity or shouldn't have presentations, but I would prefer not to have us lose that, that agenda item.
Noted.
And I would note that, you know, what is it? It's the CAC and is it TAC?
The CAC and Harmony does an update on all of the other committees.
Right, but
That have action.
there are two committees that have statutory requirements.
Oh, the TAC, the
And the
Technical
CAC.
Advisory Committee, and the Citizens Advisory Committee are the only two ones we're required to do.
Yeah, so keep us on the agenda. Right, that's my vote. But anyway, anything else?
Just if anyone has suggestions for Blocks of Box locations, can you find me after, email me, just or comment on social media if you think of them.
The only one I've heard mentioned in a public setting is Hillsborough, Florida.
Okay.
Remember Lynn Hertag got into that during the TPO board meeting last month, but beyond that, I don't know. All right, anything else for the good of the order?
Everyone
Ed?
stay where you are so Olivia can take a picture.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Where's this?
Smile.
Our folders. Okay, sorry.
All right.
Continue.
Very good. CAC member interest item form. Did you already talk about that?
Nope, it's available if anyone wants it.
All right. Anything else for the good of the order? In the room, online?
Anyone online?
Nope. Andrew?
Andrew Marquetti, is there any update that you guys can provide on the McDill infrastructure project? Mailed the email address a few times and had not received.
On McDill?
McDill Boulevard?
Is that a City of Tampa project? that you're-
Yes, yeah, it's from, I think,
Kennedy all the way to Euclid.
Beta Bay.
Bed Bay, you're correct, Bed Bay.
See what I can find out. But I would have to ask the city staff.
Okay.
Well, if there's nothing else, it is 10 minutes or 9 minutes to 8. We're early and we're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Susie, you gonna stick around?
Stick around, you didn't scare me off.
All right, there you go.
Take care.